Howdy folks, it's Chris here with Zone Zero California, and we are in La Crescenta, or at the very edge of it, it appears here. Now before we get into this, I do want to remind you all that we are giving away a free pedestrian gate. It's a color bond gate by Durabond. This is an all steel construction and design made in Australia, built to withstand the intense heat of wildfires. This is exactly the kind of gate that would get you Zone Zero compliant. So we're giving it away in order to get more subscribers on the channel. We're gonna be giving away a gate every 500 subscribers. We're gonna do our first one at 500, our second one at 1,000, and so on and so forth. So to enter to win, of course, you gotta be subscribed. And then I want you to go to zonezerocalifornia.com, fill out the form there, and download our free Zone Zero PDF guide. Okay, so let's get into it. This is a very high fire hazard severity zone. La Crescenta is basically all in red. Now this is according to the CAL FIRE maps. So let me go ahead and show you where we are, and we'll zoom in here. And you can see we are at Briggs, which I believe is right here. Hopefully the glare is not too strong there. Oh, that's Ocean View. I'm sorry. We are one block up here. Where are we at Briggs? We are at Briggs. I think that's it. Oh, here we go, Briggs Avenue. That was a Reddit notification. We do have a Reddit community. I'll get to that later. But okay, but you see here, as we zoom out, basically the entirety of this whole area is in red, meaning very high fire hazard severity. Now, along the south here, basically for this little gap, you know, if you do live in one of these areas here, you're safe. But the majority of La Crescenta, Montrose, and La Cañada, Flint Ridge, Glendale, in this part of town is very much in the middle of the very high fire hazard severity zone. So what does that mean? Well, that means the Zone Zero regulations are going to apply to you. And what are those regulations? Well, the state has yet to publish their final version. But essentially, Zone Zero deals with the 0 to 5 feet around your property, your home, your structure. And whereas previously, when it came to defensible space and fire hardening, there were only two zones, Zone 1 and Zone 2. Zone 1 incorporated everything from 0 to 30 feet. And the saying there was lean, clean, and green, meaning you need to keep it lean as far as you know, the kinds or the amount of stuff you have in that zone, both with landscaping and just with you know, the accumulation of property, especially combustible items. Clean, meaning you're raking it regularly. You're not letting old leaves and such pile up and create piles of combustible material. And then keeping it green, keeping it watered, keeping your grass watered so it doesn't become dry and therefore more combustible. But we know there's been droughts and such over the past 10 or 15 years in California, so that was already an issue. And then you see what happens when fire events like what happened in Los Angeles last year come about. So Zone Zero actually is a few years old now, and what scientists found was that the way property gets destroyed and fires spread is not necessarily through big walls of fire or even the radiant heat, but it's from the embers getting picked up and blown and landing sometimes miles away on other properties, on other structures, in other yards, on trees. And those areas not taking the time to make or be aware of that defensible space or that fire hardening, maybe because technically they weren't in a fire hazard zone to begin with. Well, we know after the fires last year, CAL FIRE definitely updated those maps and expanded them. So we're doing this series of videos, taking you, the viewers, on the ground, showing you where these very high fire hazard severity zones begin, how many people they affect, and what kinds of things to look out for. So, of course, Zone Zero dealing with Class A non-combustible materials in 0 to 5 feet. So it's not enough now, you can't have like firewood piled up next to your home, or of course storing gasoline cans or things like that, obvious things, right? It's your landscaping. Now the biggest point of contention has been the removal of trees. But here in Southern California and other parts of the state where they rely on these trees for shade, that shade has been shown by some studies to reduce the effective temperature by as much as 50 degrees. And that's a lot. And so it also saves on energy costs. Not to mention, if you have an older home and you don't even have central air conditioning, that can be a health risk, you know, for seniors and people like that. So that's been the biggest point of contention. So removing those trees, we'll see what happens. Now, again, we're waiting for these rules to be published. What we're going to see probably is a general, broad guideline from the state, and then more specific county and city level things to address such concerns after that. But nonetheless, let's take a look and dig a little deeper into Zone 0 and the building regulations that are most likely being published this month. So we mentioned the landscaping, right? 0 to 5 feet. You may need to replace your grass with gravel. When it comes to the trees, who knows? I think they were talking about replacing planters with potted plants, and even maybe limiting the types of plants you can have in that 0 to 5 feet. What's next? Okay, obviously I mentioned fences and gates. That's why we're giving away a pedestrian gate. So now, if you have an old wood fence or gate, most likely a redwood or cedar fence, that's probably going to need to be replaced. Now, there are certain woods, hardwoods, that have been approved for use by CAL FIRE, namely Kayu Batu. That is a relatively inexpensive, or I should say, it's not as cost prohibitive as some of your more exotic luxury hardwoods that are used in decking and fences and gates, like your Brazilian Ipe, your tiger wood, your kumaru. So compared to those, the Kayu Batu or Balau is rather affordable. And again, it's approved by CAL FIRE. So it's not about getting away from wood completely. It's about knowing which kind of woods are approved for use. So outside of landscaping, fences and decks, as I just gave, as I mentioned previously here, decking. So if you have a deck that's made of redwood or cedar, that may need to get replaced. Obviously, you can replace it with hardwood, but you can also use other composite materials for decking, like your Trex or your TimberTech, all right? And along with that goes your railings, your handrails. Now, we were in Hollywood for one of our videos, and we saw an apartment building where they had all redwood railing around their patios. So that would, again, need to be replaced either by hardwoods or by something like steel or aluminum. So after that, the next and almost most important element when it comes to Zone 0 is your siding. Now, this is only going to apply to houses built during a certain period or with certain architectural styles, like your Craftsman's or your mid-centuries. Certain mid-centuries, I noticed, have a vertical wood siding. And of course, Craftsman have those horizontal wood siding. Now, I've seen some Craftsman redone where they replaced that wood siding with stucco, but of course you're going to lose that architectural style. But again, if you're in a very high fire hazard severity zone, you may not have a choice. It is what it is. Of course, we are still waiting to hear what these final rules and regulations are. And of course, we're going to keep you up to date as much as possible through this YouTube channel, as well as through our school community. Absolutely free to join. By the way, if you need financial assistance, I have links to grants in our school community. I have links to state agencies for more information in our school community. It's absolutely free to join, and of course, you're welcome to share your stories there. You're welcome to share them in the comments of these videos. And as you saw earlier, I also have a Reddit. Come share your stories there. Listen, if you've been through hell and back with insurance, you may need to vent and get it off your chest, and that'll help you feel better, hopefully. But of course, more people will be able to learn from your stories, and that's really the goal. So the final component of this fire hardening system, with the landscaping, the decks, the fences and gates, and the siding, is the roofing. Now, most roofing material is already going to be Class A, non-combustible, or at least at the very least, flame retardant, fire resistant, and things like that. But as I mentioned earlier, if you have a tree, the tree drops litter, that litter accumulates on your roof, and you don't clear it out regularly, the next time there's a major fire hazard event, when those ember storms blow and lands on your roof, you don't want to put yourself at risk. So enough yapping, guys. Once again, my name's Chris. We're giving away a color bond gate by Durabond. It's an all steel design and construction. If you want to win, you just got to subscribe and then go to zonezerocalifornia.com. Fill out the form there. You'll get a free PDF download. It's a Zone 0 checklist we put together for you. If you are in a very high fire hazard severity zone, these Zone 0 regulations will apply to you, and you must comply within the next 2 to 3 years. So that's why we're raising awareness now. We want people prepared and not scared. Let's hop in the truck, drive around La Crescenta, and see if we can point out examples of these kinds of zone 0 areas for concern. Let's go. Hey everyone, it's Chris back in the truck here. All right, we're in La Crescenta, so let's take a drive around. This is all improvised, but usually when I do this part of the video, I'm able to point out a lot of things very quickly because most people still have old wood fences and gates. But let me roll down the windows here. Look at all the trees and the landscaping just in general. I mean, that's what probably makes this part of Los Angeles so great. I mean, obviously I don't know if you can tell, but there's a big old mountain in the front of us. We're definitely in the foothills. So let's take just a quick turn into this neighborhood and see if we can find some zone 0 areas for concern. Just, you know, randomly exploring. Okay, so I see an old wood fencing gate here underneath this tree behind there. There's a wood gate. There's an old wood fence down that driveway. Let's see here. Oh, you got wood fencing gate on both sides of this house. So right there, I mean, I've already pointed out a few things, but look at the landscaping here. Look at all these trees. Now that might also be wood siding on this home, but again, look at the landscaping. We're gonna have to get rid of all those trees. Oh, wood fencing gate. Wood fencing gate on this side too. All right, let's see here. Beautiful homes, beautiful neighborhood. A lot of landscaping, a lot of trees, right? Again, what's the consideration here? Are these going to need to be removed? And then think about all of the shade they'll be missing. Oop. Edit that guy out. Oh, here's an old wood gate, driveway gate that goes right up to the detached garage. That is a zone 0. Again, it's around the structure, right? So that first 5 feet next to the structure is what we're looking for. Okay, so that was just 1 block. So we'll drive around a little bit more. All right, we're at Rosemont Ave now. We were just in Rosemont filming our other video earlier. So here's a good line of demarcation. Is Foothill Boulevard. Basically, if you're off Foothill Boulevard, you're north of the 210. This is all pretty much very high fire hazard severity zone. So remember, the way the rules are being proposed, all homes and properties, all structures will need to comply with these zone 0 rules within the next 2 to 3 years. All the homes in the severity zones. Here's old wood fence that goes down along the property to the back there and then connects to the side of the home there. That might have been a little hard to see. This looks like wood siding. I might be mistaken, but that looks like wood siding. Oh, there you go. There's your mid-century vertical style. That's what I was referring to earlier. Now this is probably a vinyl fence. That's probably vinyl. Okay, but the landscaping, look at all the trees. All the plants right next to the house. Again, you know? So, there's a wood fence right there. I'm sorry, wood gate. Wood gate next to the garage. Again, look at the landscaping. Tons of landscaping here. I'm gonna pull over so this car can go around me. But here, look at the landscaping, and there's a wood fence here. Landscaping, wood fence right next to the house. What about that house? Are those, I don't know if those are wood shingles or not along the for the siding on that house. Wood fence down there. Now this is a steel frame, but that's cedar wood, I believe. Again, part of it may not be within the 0 to 5 feet, but part of it definitely was. There's your vertical mid-century style. Another one. That could, and another one. See? If the community, if the homes in your community, right, they're all built in a certain time, they're all gonna essentially have that style. So you see them clustered like that. Same thing with the Craftsmans. Now I'm gonna turn back up Montrose here, and you're gonna see a wood fence along the side of this house, down this driveway. It's all wood, old wood fence down there. Not to mention all those trees and all that, you know, all the landscaping there. Again, mid-century vertical style, mid-century vertical style. Wood gate next to the house there on the side. So many people are going to be affected by this. So, I mean, we're in La Crescenta. I don't really need to belabor the point anymore. There's another wood fence, guys. I'm going to exit here. I'm going to leave it here. So again, we're giving away a gate. If you want to win, just subscribe to the channel and then go to zonezerocalifornia.com. Fill out the form to download your free PDF guide, your Zone Zero checklist there, and we'll give away the gate every 500 subscribers. Other than that, if you want to be put in touch with contractors in your area, you can also go to zonezerocalifornia.com and get in touch with me. Either call or fill out the form, and we'll follow up with you soon. All right, folks? So La Crescenta, be safe. Take care.